Hello and welcome. This will take a moment as I have to prepare some things and make sure things are working from editing settings. And it does appear so. So without further ado, I suppose let's get right to it. I hope I named the everything correctly. So, oh, one moment. We're missing our dice roller. There we go. We're continuing our mercenary adventures through Galactic Requiem in our usual solo tabletop RPG, which is, the setting. Galactic Requiem, the setting we always do. The setting we won't not do. The usual. So, it is solo dice day. Unfortunately, I completely forgot to check my settings. I have been working on a bit of a project. A little bit of a project. So, ideally, that will happen soon. Ideally. Hopefully. I'm not going to go into too much detail until the project gets a bit more finalized, just in case, But theoretically, if it does, which I hope it does, I mean, it should, then we'll have some stuff and we'll make an announcement about it and all that. But until then, um, yeah. Other than that, well, we're just making sure everything is running smoothly because we had to edit a few settings to get the project test stuff prepared. So some things are slightly out of set. Other than that, I suppose since I rambled a bit, we'll do the intro again. I'm your host, Casimir Basilius, Imperial Lord of the Empire, that kind of thing. And we are following the adventures of the mercenary Urana Aldis. Last time, Urana Aldis decided to wander about, and we came across a random event, just something happening in the world, in which a bunch of corporate individuals we're in a abandoned, I say abandoned, it's more run down community center. Yeah. Every square on this map is, of course, 50 feet. That's just the grid scale currently. And we saw a corporate force of what appeared to be mercenaries enter part of the rundown community center. And there's gunfire. We rolled a random event, basically stating that there's something going on here. We don't have to get involved, but I mean, we're in heavy armor. There's something going on. We might as well. I mean, now, it's more logical to probably not get involved, but it's less fun to not get involved. I mean, come on. If you've ever played a RPG, surely you know that this is obviously something going on here. Something like a side quest or something. I mean, we don't really do that. We simulate a world, and there just so happens to be a thing going on. But, you know, we might as well check out what's going on. We could just ignore it, but, you know. So, there's one thing I am slightly unprepared on, and that is the map. We don't have one. Which we can actually fix easily. It's 4 housing grids, basically. It's 4 grids. So we'll take a minute and make the map. It's going to be quick, don't worry. We're just... Once it finishes auto-saving, we'll do so. We're going to make the map right over here, because it's fine. One, two, three, 4, 5. That should be enough. Let's double check. Perfect. So this will be the bottom section. This is just going to be quick. I know this is usually world building Wednesday stuff, but we're not going to ramble. We're going to get the map done as fast as possible. So let's slap down what we need for an encounter map. Basically, I'm doing this just so we know the scale to build the structures on. It wouldn't do to be inaccurate. I mean, it'd be fine to be inaccurate, but as I think I mentioned a while back, when it comes to making maps, I, for some reason, focus heavily on accuracy, not to a exceptional degree, but to a degree that it's, you want the map to be the right scale. But we're not going to go too insane with it. See, that's all we needed. See, we're not even going to bother making it look like it's not overlapping. It's fine. This goes about 2.5, and this covers the other half. This is the building that's being attacked, so this is basically the only building we need. How far up does it go? Not entirely. Okay. So sort of like that. And oh. Well, this square is not going to work, so let's see how long it is. Up into the upper one partially. Okay. Easy enough. I suppose we'll... I'm so sorry. We'll finish the thing. It's not going to be entirely accurate, but we're going to try. Basically a bit less than all of one. Perfect. And this one might need to be shorter. This one goes beyond, basically up to the edge, but not entirely to the right. So basically this one goes to there, not entirely to the right. This one's going to have to be a little bit smaller. We're not really going to worry about any more accuracy than that. That's absolutely good enough for a quick encounter map. The only other thing we need is these. So we can make the interior. We'll just copy the whole set over to here. Oh, so we're going to put this first. There. One moment. Okay. So that's basically what we need to begin, at the very least. And of course, this. So, entering the Rundown Community Center, there's going to be an entrance area. Probably a bit big. I don't think this is an even number of squares. We're not going to bother. For now. Probably. It's fine. It's fine. I suppose we do need corporate tokens. We also need our token, which luckily we have a copy of right over here from a previous quick encounter map. So there are several vehicles here, and several corporate individuals are entering here. The building probably has multiple doors, probably one over here somewhere and one over here somewhere. There's also a door along here. So let's just slap those down just so we know where they are to a degree. It's probably a door around here. Probably a door. This door wouldn't be a double door, it'd be a single door. Probably another single door over here somewhere. Probably a door over here somewhere. Double door there. Probably another actual double door over there. Probably more, but we'll work with what we have for now. The only other thing we need to actually get into this is the tokens for both theoretical parties that are engaging each other. Because we know that the corporate forces are entering the building and we hear gunfire, so we know that there's two parties. We just need tokens for them. So let's see what we got. Standard corporate force. We need generic troops. Relatively generic. That will do. That will do. Make sure it's on the right layer. Change it to a token. There we are. So we know that there are going to be corporate forces. Let's put one to the side. Is this the first one? Put one to the side for copying purposes. And then we need whoever they're fighting. Who will they be against? Let's go to our library of tokens and find something. Well, we know that they're probably up against the gang as this is gang territory, so let's see if we can't find something acceptable. There we go. That will do. There we are. We don't know how many there are. The bot will handle that. We only know that there's a few cars out here, which I suppose we can also just cover real fast. I know, it's not the dice rolling, it's the building of the map, but as we said, we'll take things slower, so we don't need to be like, we don't have a map, let's go and end the thing and build one. Although we are going into a bit of detail here. There it is. We'll grab this. Size down. I forget, did we decide that the vehicles were IFVs or normal? We'll have two normal and one infantry fighting vehicle. or APC more so than IFV. If we can find an APC, which I bet we can. I mean, we'll use... I mean, it's technically an APC. Yeah, let's see. As we scroll to this section with M, and we grab an M113. Why not? Make sure this is the right scale. Needs to be a little bit bigger, I believe. We'll go with this. I mean, it's not an actual M113. Token is, but like, you know, lore-wise, it's not an actual M113 here. There aren't Elysians here. But there we go. I think it's a bit big. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're not going to spend too much time designing the vehicles they're arriving in. We know they have a couple of cars and an APC. Okay. One team has already entered the building. There appears to be a team outside the building. And all that. Let's put them in slightly more defensive positions, you know? Luckily, they're not hostile to us yet, immediately. Okay. So, bunch of corporate security forces entering the building. What do we do? I mean, we are going to get involved, probably. As it, well, there's no actual benefit for getting involved, but we're going to. Okay. There we are, a little bit less. Inside's gonna have doors, but that's not important right this second. Seeing them arrive, rush in as we're hanging about, we will take it a bit cautious. I suppose we'll... What do we have with us? I was about to say, let's approach the corporate individuals, but given they have an APC that probably has a mounted gun, probably not the smartest immediate idea just to walk up towards the armed APC. I mean, yeah, we're in heavy armor, but if they have an HMG, that can do something. If they have a HMG that is like 50 cal or more, or 12.7 millimeters, we're going to be in trouble. I mean, that'll pen our medium armor. Let's check our options. Yeah, well, we could check if it's net connected. Given that they're corporate security forces, honestly, they are probably net connected. Maybe not their vehicle, but they individually are very likely net connected. Not in a sense of, I mean, yes, in a sense of meaning we could hack them. We're not going to hack them, no. More in a sense of, we could send them a message without having to step out of cover. So we'll move north, just so we're in cover a little bit. And we will message them, hope they respond, basically sending a message asking. Basically, Ulanos will say, hey, freelance mercenary, happen to be in the area. What's going on here? I mean, am I about to get lit up for simply being here? Well, what's the situation here? Let's see how they are feeling. Meaning we're going to have to open the NPC's chart, which will take a moment. I really should have had coffee before this. I had my normal coffee extra early. So, anyway. If we go to here, we should be able to find what we're looking for here. One of these two files will be the one we're looking for. Okay. This is technically a social encounter. These characters count as... I don't think they're opponents. Let's double check what kind of characters they are. They will either use the bystander template or the acquaintance template. Okay, it is definitely bystander template. Acquaintance means slightly positive. So it is going to be just completely neutral, which is bystander template. And what situation are they in? Let's double check the rules on that. My apologies. Okay, good. Combat template does apply. I was wondering basically if combat template for social context is basically only the character engaged in combat, or basically a situation in which the character is in combat with them, but it does specifically state that the combat does not need to necessarily involve the player character fighting the NPCs. And does not necessarily mean that both the player characters and NPCs are fighting other creatures. Any combat taking place near the social interaction qualifies. And since there's combat in the building, combat template is what we will be using. Now, lastly, we need to determine the social role. Okay, so it's just going to be normal. Bystander, normal, combat. Now we have to ask the question, what are we trying to do? We are trying to... Well, that's going to be difficult. We are technically trying to use diplomacy against them, but diplomacy is technically, loosely, mostly not allowed in this situation as they're somewhat concerned with things. So we're going to have to make a relatively difficult roll. Okay, step one, roll our impress, which is terrible. What is our impress modifier total? It's like -1 total after all modifiers or something like that. Yep, 0 impress and -1 for charisma. So we will be rolling 1d20 -1. And we are against, what are we against? Something along the lines of 22. Maybe a bit less. Probably a bit less. Let's check the actual chart. Here we are. $15 to $20 is what we're aiming for specifically. We're aiming for $15 to $20. Okay, let's give it a shot. This is such a far shot, but let's give it a go. 3 -1 is 2. Let me check the rule book real fast. Is that enough that we're going to be in trouble? It's not a natural 2. Hmm. It's not a natural 2. There is no increase of difficulty. For critical failure, that gets it within category. But they're not happy. Okay. So we approach, well, we send a message over comms, basically stating, hey, we're a mercenary. What's going on here? And the corporate individuals basically will just say, it is none of your concern. Move along. If you attempt to interfere in this situation, you will be considered in violation of corporate security charter. Insert long line of numbers and letters here. Okay. I mean, let's be honest though. We don't care about corporations or their charters. So, the real question is, let's do something a little risky, little crazy. We'll move behind cover. And we will send a message to whoever's, we can't target. We can make a net search. Let's make a net search. How good's our computer use? So you have to basically see a target to net them, to direct net, unless you know where they are or some such thing. The rules are very specific. It's not like you need line of sight, technically speaking, but you sort of do. Let me read it to you, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. It'll take a moment to load. I do, however, forget the rules of square size. I mean, I know that we're dealing on a 5-foot square grid. I mean, in connection to communication, do you have to know where they are in a 5-foot square or a 50-foot square is basically what I'm trying to figure out, in addition to reading the rules? Here we are. The target must be located. Net-based entities can be located via in-net search action, which is what we're going to do. Non-net-based entities, or things with a passive net connection, must be located either visually or with its near exact location. We don't have visual of whoever they are fighting in the building. Assuming we don't want to send a broad message, basically. Like, we could send a message. The message, however, would be pick-upable. The corporate individuals would be able to pick up the fact that we are sending a open channel message, basically, to an area. They would, if they're in that area, that is, they would pick it up as it's just a, hey, everybody, basically. It's like yelling, hey, everybody, which is not what we want. We want to directly communicate with whoever they are dealing with. So we're going to have to make an in-net search because assumedly if they're on the net in any way, shape, or form, they will be able to receive, they'll be able to be visible, basically, to us on the net. Which is a search action, which is computer use. Which is 8. Is that right? We roll an 8. 5 plus 2 plus 1. Let's double check. 1 plus 5, 5, 6. Where are we getting the 2 from? Our AI? Probably. We're definitely not taking it from our occupation. Or is it a plus 2 neural data pad we have? One more moment. It's a plus 2 neural data pad. Okay. So we're rolling with a plus 8. Well, let's give it a shot. It shouldn't be too hard. As we're simply just trying to find them. It's not like we're actually trying to hack them or anything. Just trying to find them in the net. So. What is the DC? It's likely they're not hiding or anything. Here we are. How far are they? We don't know exactly where they are, but we have a rough estimate. Luckily, this is in. So we're looking at maybe -3. Well, let's give it a shot. 1d20 plus 8. 16 plus 8 minus 3. Which is a success. We are quite easily able to find the signal. since we know that their signal will send them a direct message basically stating, hey, I'm a mercenary, happen to be in the area. Something's going on here. A bunch of corporate security forces outside. Open for contract as a freelance merc. Depending on the contract. I mean, it takes a minute to say that, but like in game terms, it's instant. Making a message in a net is basically instant. Data pads and all that, assuming they have a neural data pad, which is very likely, that entire exchange is instant. That's the power of having a computer in your. That's the power of having a computer in your brain. Yes. What's their disposition towards this? It's probably going to be a bit higher. So, let's see if they are willing to cut a deal. 8. even if we applied a severe penalty, like if they really wanted support, 8's still not going to cut it. Well, it really does depend on their situation. Are they doing well in there, even though corporate strike force is out here? We're going to apply a -4. We're going to roll 2d10 for chaos. Not chaos, but yes, no. No chaos. Yes, chaos. There's a gunfight going on. Well, yes, chaos. There's a 1. Now, the question is, are they doing well in there? 1 and 5. So that's a definite no. They are in a bad way. They will probably actually hire us even with an 8 because they're not doing well. And a 1 and a 5 and a 1 on chaos is a success on the chaos. I say success, it just means chaos is happening. That's not necessarily a good thing. That's not like it's a success, you know? Both numbers are odd, so it's exceptional. Exceptional as in answer to our statement, meaning it is an exceptional no, things are not going well for them. So they will definitely, basically, give us a bit of data and hire us. They are a local gang, and they're not going to tell us too much information. Other than that, yeah, they're local gangsters, and they have apparently angered a corporation. They are willing to assist, well, willing to acquire mercenary assistance. How much would they be willing to pay? That's the next question. Well, they're doing terribly, so we'll offer them standard rate. Which will be, let's double check. We'll do this accurately this time. We're hoping for 5 to 10. Let's see how much they are willing to do. $1,000? $1,000 angering a corporation. They can do better. Let's actually make a negotiation check. Oh, first let's roll the d8. 3. So they are offering on the low end, so yeah, they'll probably offer like 1,000. Let's roll a negotiation check, see whether we can with our -1, you know? But they are desperate, so we'll apply a modifier for that. We'll say, basically, at least 5,000 and you got yourself some help. 19 minus 1, 18 versus a resolve. They're probably able to pay 5,000. But what's their resolve? 2. They will pay. They will pay. It's not a lot, but I have no love for some random security corp. I'd much rather work with the security corp, but that's probably not going to happen. So, another quick question for the bot, because the bot is the GM. Is the gun on the APC a 50 cal? Like I said, it's not an actual M113, so, you know. Is it just a heavy machine gun? Like, you know, I say heavy, but, you know, like, what caliber, basically? Is it 50 caliber? 1 in 1? No. And Chaos? 4. Also, Chaos 4 is going to do something. So that is within Chaos, and both are even and the same, meaning some things are going to happen. First of all, exceptional and random event. So exceptionally so, being it is not a 50 cal. In fact, it is so much not a high caliber weapon. They have basically mounted a belt-fed variant of a standard assault rifle up there. Not even belt-fed, box-fed. In fact, a 50-round box of a standard assault rifle on top of it. Corporate budget cuts. I mean, we rolled exceptional. Like, normally I'd say HMG, but we specifically rolled the lowest possible dual ones, which is in itself, dual ones in itself is exceptional no. Anything 1 to 4 is exceptional no, and we got a 2. So that's exceptional no, on top of both numbers are odd, which is exceptional. So it is basically double exceptionally not a 50 cal. So it is basically an assault rifle with a box attached, not a box magazine, but like a side box, like that you would put a belt in, a 50 round version. So, and random event. So let's determine the random event. As we're opening a second file to do this, we're going to roll using real dice, just so it's quicker and I don't need to swap between both things 20 times in a row. Nine. Focus NPC. Okay, we need to pick a random NPC. For that, this will take another moment. My apologies. Focus NPC. That means we pick one from the chart. The big chart of NPCs. Okay, we have Aldis's former government as the NPC. Not so. Favor NPC, or specifically what we rolled, doesn't mean it is involving them. It just means some aspect is similar. So basically, these people actually have equipment that looks like it was, this corporation has equipment that looks like it is supplied from Yulian Aldis's former government. Given that they're tied with the faction, well, this government that we're working with, it makes sense that they'd have some gear from it, but they basically have secondhand, hand-down gear from Yulian Aldis's former government, which also gives Yulian Aldis more reason to actually hate them. So that's good. Okay, now what's the random event? Let's roll pictures. It's been a while. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to display them this time. That would take a bit of extra work. That is just not going to be worth all the extra time it would take. Six equals 0, so 02, 0, 2, across, and how many down? A D8. Add a detail on an 8, and we rolled an 8, and then we re-roll. 5 minus 1 is 4. 4. 44. 2, 44. What is that? An eye. Not the letter, like a picture of an eye. A weird-looking eye. Compared to the stylizedness of everything else? Okay. So some random event involving, similar to our government. Now what's the next one? Like I said, we're just doing this fast. 1 is 1 plus 8, 18. And the second one is going to be 18, 19. A pyramid of people. Pyramid of people. Okay, it's making a bit of sense to me. We also need to add a detail check because we rolled an 8, and that means add an additional detail check. Okay, we'll do that now. $98 violently. 76. Poor. Violently poor. Eyeball, pyramid, violently poor. Has something to do with local government. I'm getting a picture here. The faction, this local corporation, has been tasked actually with assisting in the war effort that's going on. A lot of their stuff has been set to basically guarding important sites on the world. We don't know this, of course, but a lot of their resources have been tied into assisting the government in security involving the war that's going on. This is a local policing action not involved in the war. So these people, the people we're up against here, it also explains the reason why their guns so shit. They have the worst second-hand equipment possible. Everything else is too busy at the more important places. They are undermanned and are exactly the eye being the ever-watching presence and the pyramid being of people being like sort of the hierarchy of the faction and the fact that it ties to, they're tied with the government as sort of like corporate security forces for them, but they're running extremely low on equipment given the war, as that's what they're focusing on. So basically, this doesn't have to do with any of that, but the fact that that stuff's going on means that their supplies and all that are exceptionally bad. This is just like a second hand, hey, there's this, we still got to technically do our normal security stuff, and there's something that needs to be done here. Send what we have left to go and deal with it. Basically. My apologies, I will be right back. There we are. So, where were we? Ah, yes. So they are technically, actually, given that, our enemies and not just some random cult. I mean, loosely speaking. There are still some random corp that's basically contracted with our main enemy, but, you know, it's not like we have to fight them. In fact, it's discouraged for us to fight them, but that's not gonna stop us. $5,000, you know? Also, it's a mounted standard machine gun, the fools. Okay. Let's check our gear real fast before we open up, you know? Hmm. Really gotta get some grenades. We do have AP loaded. Good. Good. We'll prepare our laser rifle. We'll keep our AP loaded. We will take a step to here. That's a 5-foot step. And then we will aim at, we're not going to aim, we're just going to burst. You know, partial aim. It's going to be a -2. And we're going to burst 20 rounds to hit. No, to damage. 20 rounds to damage the gunner. It's within range -2, 20 rounds damage gunner. Let's give it a shot. $5,000. Anger Corporation. It'll be fine. It's not like they're... I mean, they are poorly armed, poorly equipped, according to our dice roll. Exceptionally so. The entire vibe they're giving off is they're not ready for this. So likely their armor is slightly worse than we thought. Let's be honest. Their armor's actually probably slightly worse than I assume it is. We're still going to use our AP ammo, don't get me wrong. It's a waste of money, but I mean, if we're being genuine here, they probably have light armor, light combat, or low grade medium, honestly. Light combat or low grade medium. Either way, let me double check one thing about that. My apologies. Here we are. It will take a moment. Oh, scroll too far. Here we are. How good is low grade medium? Okay. So no matter what, even if it's light combat or low grade medium, armor piercing rounds means our bullets are just going to go straight through. We're just going to be basically rolling against their ability to avoid. That is absolutely it. Okay, yeah, like, I'll take that. So yeah, burst to damage, 20 round burst to damage on the heavy, in very big quotation marks, gunner, who basically just has a slightly higher caliber assault rifle with a belt box attached to it, you know? Poor fool. I also want to steal that IFV. AF. It's an APC. I want to steal the APC. I also want to steal the vehicles. I can sell that for money. The black market. I just want to take all the things for money. Okay, let's actually roll the dice as we make our 20 round burst. Come on, don't fail me now. 2. 2. Well, it's failed me now. Honestly, though, that might still be a hit. I have hope. Might not be, but I have hope. Because that's going to be 2 plus 10, so 12, which is a miss, but also burst. 20 round to damage. 12 plus what? Open our player book. Assuming I can find it. Where's our player basics? Here we go. Burst to damage, 20 rounds, plus 3 to hit. So 15 minus 2, range. 13. Let's check. I'm gonna be so annoyed. $15. $15. He does lose his dex. 12. Okay. We've barely hit. If you're wondering why he loses his dex, he's sitting in a turret. Normally, like if we were to fire at this guy, he'd take a bonus. This guy technically takes a little bit of one. Wait, 12, 13. 12, 13, 14, 15, 14, 13. Versus 12, 13, 14. We'll spend an action die. Because it is exceptionally close, we'll spend an action die, which means we're going to roll a d4 and roll a 2, which will 13, 14, 15, which makes it a hit. So, let us roll damage. I'm slightly annoyed we had to spend one of our action die on that, but that is sometimes how it goes. So, that is going to be 5 damage plus 5 damage. So, 2d. Well, let's open our sheet. I think it's 2d10, but. So, first of all, 2d10 plus 5. Had we not been using our armor piercing, we would have missed no matter what. Like, we would have had to spend all of our action die, maybe, or unless if they exploded or something. The armor pen has actually saved us. Not like saved our lives, but basically made that very much not likely going to be a hit into a hit. Otherwise, they would have gotten armor bonus against it. Okay. 2d10 plus 5. 15. All to health. Oh god, they don't get armor bonus. As the armor's just absolutely penned by the AP laser. And they don't get... Yeah. So this individual needs to save or die, because that's above their constitution. I suppose I should roll that visibly. 20. He does not die innately. However, let's see. He doesn't instantly die. He's only going to wish he did. As he takes 2 critical wounds. Yep. Because that's over his con completely, so he's going to take 2 critical wounds. He doesn't get any bonuses because his armor does not help him in any way, shape, or form. Can he spend action die to not? I like making sure our NPCs are treated just like characters. They have all the same abilities and all that. He would need 3 action die. He has 2 action die, meaning he's just going to take the injuries. He is going to reduce 1 wound by 1 category, since they're both critical, One of them becomes severe, meaning he's not going to immediately go unconscious, which is good for him. And now it's time to see how badly he is messed up. We're not going to use the full chart this time just for speed purposes. We're going to do this the quick way. 20. He's hit in the head. And 6. He is hit in the next best, because that's impossible. Right arm. Head and right arm. The previous roll was leg. So, given the fact we cannot physically hit him in the leg, it becomes right arm. Now we roll an additional modifier because he's hit on the head. And that is a 6, so we roll on the next chart. The next chart being sublocation, meaning we need a D8, not a D6 again. Oh god. A laser blast to the side of his head, scorching off one of his ears and the entire side of his face. I suppose that's the one he will spend the action die to lessen the critical penalty on, you know? So yeah, he'll lessen the penalty on that. And he'll take the full damage to the right arm. So he has a -4 on all right arm based things. And he has a -3 on to the head. There are different, I should note this, there are different degrees of violence in Galactic Requiem. Right now, we are using what is considered high violence. It's for when we want injuries and absolutely gritty and brutal combat. And it applies all around. Like, if we get hit, these rules also apply to us. This is the most brutal variant, not the most brutal variant, to be fair, but this is near the most brutal variant of combat, in which injuries and wounds and penalties are applied. There's also the less brutal, in which we don't take that into account in the less brutal, but I like the brutal variant, so. Makes combat very dangerous, very risky, very deadly. Oh, I forgot 15 damage. What's that do to him? Out of 20, okay. He's alive. "15 out of 20 damage has been taken," meaning he's not having a good time. He is, part of his face is actively scorched off. His arm is not working very well at all. He is, if we were being total brutal in this, he would begin rolling to have to not panic. Because he's barely just not died. The fact that he rolled a 20 is what kept him from basically, like, not immediately falling over. He's been able to barely basically remain up as this round scorches half his face off. I suppose we'll take that into account. As we have half an action, we're gonna have a -5. That would be a -4. That would be a -4. That would be a -2, but he also has cover. But this guy will also count it as having cover, so we'll try and open up on this person. Don't worry. I know it looks like there's a wall in the way. Technically, in combat, we're allowed to lean across a wall, and if we lean across a wall to attack, he technically also gets attacks against us. But technically, it's allowed for us to fire at him and him to fire at us, as long as we're fighting from around the cover. Okay, so yeah, we'll fire at him because he's in a bad way. It'd probably be good to finish him off, honestly. Mm. He's taking a -4 on everything, but he will get a turn. We'll fire at the other guy. Why not? Next rolls at a -5. So, we miss. That's an 11, by the way, total. It's not a crit fail when you subtract to 1. It's only if you naturally roll it. But, so that's going to be 1 plus 10 plus 3, which is miss. Even without his armor, there's no way that's how. We could roll action die. Let's check. Okay, so his AC is going to be 15 plus 15 plus 4, 19. We have a 14 minus an additional 2, 12. No. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. All 20 rounds, as we try and turn and move the gun across, we sort of let out another burst before we quite get to aiming at him, and the rounds just basically zip off, hitting around here, hitting the vehicle more than likely, but basically just not hitting target at all whatsoever. We're going to quick reload, by the way, which is a free action, but that's a wasted 20 armor-piercing rounds. Goes back up to 40. That becomes 4. This becomes 1. What a waste of good ammo. Should have burst a hit. We might have actually been able to push it with an action die had we burst a hit. Because that'd be like a 5 to hit. Might not have still hit, but because, let's see. $11, 16, 14. I might have tried that with a singular action die, hoping for an explosion. Otherwise, we'd have to hope for like 2 or roll both of our. But so, anyway. Enough about what ifs. We miss. Quick reload, swap mags. It's their move. This guy's going to make a morale check. As well, half of his face is melted off from laser fire. Literally just the fact that he was probably wearing the helmet and it only slightly hit him is what protected his face. That is not enough. He is basically, he's not going to panic. It's enough for him to not panic and flee. What he's going to do is he's just going to spin the gun around, not all the way around, but basically in this direction, and he's just going to suppress that area. He's just going to hold down the trigger. He needs to roll higher than a 10 with a -4. 17. 13 plus his to hit. So he succeeds at suppressing. He just lays down, oh, also the -2 penalty. So 15, 11, 15, 14, 13, 12, no, 17. I was looking at the damage there for a second. 17. 13 minus 2. 11. So yeah, it's still definitely 6. There's no way he's not going to succeed at that. Oh, it is technically possible to fail at suppressing, but usually that, like, the DC is literally 10. So usually that only fails if, like, you're suppressing a bunch of range increments out. Like, don't get me wrong, the rounds are going to hit the area, but you might not force people to take penalty because of the accurate volume of fire in the area. They're likely going to want to take cover to not get hit, but they're not going to take the innate penalties applied with suppression. And like I said, that'll only happen at, like, long distance. It's theoretically possible, or if you roll a 1, you know? But being DC 10, it's very likely you'll succeed at it. But it's technically a check. So Yelena Aldous is suppressed. As technically we spent the last round fighting from around cover, they are allowed to take shots at us. Everybody else is. Well, not him. He'd have to move to do it. And he's going to hold position. Everybody else will take shots. This person will move into cover. He's already in cover. Yeah, okay. Everybody will take shots. Almost reached for the physical dice there, because this will take a moment to do. It's a bit slow. But we'll do it properly. One attack from him. No success. Next. 17. Is that a success? We'll check. +17 +7. 24. -4. +4. 24. We're about to be hit by a burst. That would sure be something. I think we might be about to be hit by a burst. Nope. 26. Heavy armor has saved us once more. Some rounds ping, barely scraping off of our armor. Next. That was also, because it's the same thing, going to be a miss. So a bunch of rounds do barely hit, basically, Yelena Aldous in the side and in the arm, but the armor absolutely resists, basically, the rounds spark off of the heavy armor. A bit concerning, but a lot of the rounds do also hit the cover. Some spark off the armor, some hit the cover, some just fly right by. But we are fine. Okay. Nope, this guy will also... Nope. He'll give it a shot. He'll step there, thus gaining line of sight, and he'll give it a shot too. Natural 1. We don't have any action die that we're going to spend on that. It would waste one of our very few action die. Let's do it. We spend another action die. We make him crit fail. So not only does he miss, but we roll on the chart. Let's hope. Let us hope. That's the second file. I'm going to roll physical dice just so I don't have to swap between them. Not melee. What am I looking for? Ranged automatic. Here we are. Okay, you slip and fall on the ground. Make a reflex save to stay upright. He does not get to shoot. But does he? Let's double check. Which one is this? Sometimes you still lose the ammo, sometimes you don't. Let's double check. After. Okay, so yeah, he loses his entire burst, and he is going to make a save. Does not succeed. He is on the ground. As he moves, he sort of moves, aims, slips down on the curb, tumbles. His rounds just go straight into the air, basically, as he falls. Not ideal. I was hoping maybe he'd shoot a friend, which is a thing. So he just simply slips and falls to the ground, wasting his ammo. Let's remove another action there. Okay, that means we should have. Okay, good. Everything is still technically accurate. I know they reset every in-game day, but we forgot to reset them, but also we kept them from the previous encounter, so technically it's accurate. Let's see. So we're suppressed. We could return fire, but we'd be doing so at penalty. We can choose to return fire and not take the penalty, but they get a free attack on us. We really got ourselves in a predicament here. We really got ourselves in a predicament. I mean, we're not in danger. We could retreat, you know? Like, it's not like things are, oh, we're in such a terrible situation. But it's just not the ideal situation to fight in, I'll be honest. Lots of guns pointed at just us. Suppressed, no less. Let's fry the gunner's brain. It's our turn. Let's fry his brain. It will scare them. It'll scare the lot of them. We'll make a show of it. This should be full, by the way. Okay. We will use casting. We will use arcane target. Not targeting, target. Arcane target attack. What is our total bonus, by the way? 12. Yes. Yes. How wonderful. A natural one on a casting check. What lovely experiences await us. I would be inaccurate to say that the enemies don't use an action die to proc that as a critical fail. I am obligated to act in the best interest of the NPC. Even if there are enemies, and they would so much activate that critical one on a casting check. You ready for... Let's see what happens with our critical failure on a casting check. Channeling the arcane energies. How absolutely wonderful. Let's open the big book of magic. It's not necessarily as bad as I'm implying. Could be fine. Could be absolutely fine. You know? Maybe. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's statistically just a critical fail of a miss. Well, no, they procced it, so it's going to be relatively not good. But it's not. It might not be as bad as implied. Might not be as bad as implied. Where is it? Looking for the section. Here we are. Well, that's a 1. On the bright side, it's only 1. It's only 1. Let's look at the bright side. Six. We've rolled maximum. Lovely. So, Juliana Aldis focuses on that gunner, channeling arcane energies. As her arm begins to crackle with energy and her eyes glow, all of a sudden she bursts into arcane fire. As the energy surges back upon herself, she bursts into arcane fire. Damage reduction does not apply, as it is direct damage. As she begins disintegrating herself with the arcane blast. That's fun. That's so wonderful. All 6 points. Let's see whether that procs anything worse. No, our con is 15. I'd been so mad. Not really mad, but it goes like this. I would have been Honestly, I think it is hilarious. I enjoy it quite greatly. 19. We drop to 19 health. What is 15 divided by 2? 7. Okay, so we're 1 point off from having taken a wound from it. Luckily, this was a basically absolute fail. So we don't get any severe penalties. We didn't get the worst thing possible, to be fair. Like I said, it was statistically unlikely to get the worst possible result. But we got pretty bad result. Pretty bad result. Maximum personal damage as the arcane thing backfires and just begins lightly disintegrate. I say lightly, 6 points of damage worth of disintegration to Juliana Aldis's own outstretched arm. Yeah. So we have a half action. You want to cast again? You want to cast again? No. No. Oh yeah, we also lose the mana. On the bright side, we weren't trying to do anything special. So we only lose 1 mana. We didn't roll the so we didn't roll the one that would have made us lose an additional amount of mana. We only rolled the one that made us lose health. So that's good and bad. I mean, technically, I'd rather lose mana than 6 health. You can convert health to mana. I say mana, it's energy points. You can convert health to it, but like, so it's technically worse to take health damage. Technically. I think it converts 2 to 1, something like that. Anyway, not ideal. As Yolanda Aldis lets out a slight scream of pain. We'll finish our turn and then call it as it's almost coffee time. What do we want to do? Quick question. Are any of their vehicles on the net? That's a bot question, by the way. Are any of their vehicles on the net? No chaos, just bot. 13. Yes. Even if we minus 2. It's 11, which is, yeah, 13, 12. Yeah. So yeah, their vehicles are actually on the net. Action 2. Let's try and hack one of the vehicles. Actually, no. The vehicles probably aren't on the net. We talked about this earlier. No, so the vehicles won't be on the net. Damn. They're on the net. Let's try and hack them. 19 plus, come on. Then all this will reach out with her mind again, this time not trying to mess with arcane energies, but digital energies. I'm sure that'll work out much better. 19 plus 8. That is a success getting through the first layer of defense. Can we go deeper? 4 plus 8. No. A tier 1 will do. A tier 1 will do. We need some form of success. So let me open my network book. What do we have? Actually, it's not the network book we're looking for. I'm doing this out of order. My apologies. It doesn't matter too much. It's not like it breaks anything for the most part. We were supposed to pick what we're trying to do beforehand. It doesn't really change anything. I would assume we're going to use a kill. Because, you know. 1d6 damage to real-world HP. But that is also lessened. If they have a shield, they get a shield roll against it. I'll roll physically just because it's... No, it's a roll. We always roll visibly. It's just gonna take another fucking moment to do. Does their shield proc? 14. No. It does not beat a 27. So the shield does not proc. But we do less damage than I would want. As we can only get a tier 1. Which is what we were looking for here. A d4 at tier 1. It's only a d6 at tier 2. So, 1d4. Nope, stop it. Keep minimizing the wrong thing. Here we go. Two. Wow. Trust me, it's actually very good. Like, 2's not ideal. But, first off, hack damage does not care about armor. We reach out with our mind, break through the initial barrier of defense, and begin cooking this individual's brain. Unfortunately, only doing 2 damage, so it's a light tearing of their internal brain. But, you know, slight popping and burning. The great thing about hacking, ignores armor. You can also do it at range. You don't need to see your target. You don't need to pop out of cover. You can do it at basically across the galaxy, technically speaking. It has good uses. You don't need to be physically on site. It's super useful. So, like, yeah, they do a bit less damage, but ignore armor, and you could theoretically be across the galaxy and do it. But in this case, we should have just shot. We'd have a penalty at it, but we should have just shot. We could have also remained. Like, we beat 1 tier of their brain defense. We could have kept going because of the way actions work. We could have stayed in there and waited and kept trying to get deeper into the through the firewalls, basically, until we could do more damage. But I just want to get something out there, you know? Oh, do they realize? No, well, it doesn't matter. They know they're being hacked. Normally, if you're trying to do it stealthily, like if we decided to wait and not just proc it and try and get a higher thing, they'd get a roll to detect us, to see whether they detect the hack. Given that we did damage via hack, the hack is automatically detected, basically. Well, it's not automatic, but I mean, they're pretty sure they're being hacked because they have an intelligence of greater than 3, you know? But you can't always, even if you all of a sudden take damage from it, doesn't necessarily mean you know you're being hacked, but they know because of the situation. But that does end our turn? No, does it? No, we do technically get 1 more hack action. We'll do it again. We have 1 more hack action, because we have 1/4 action left, so we can't really do any normal actions. We can only do a hack action. 4 hack actions for every 1 real turn, or 2 hack actions per turn. So, let's give it a shot. 9 plus 8, 17. We don't even get through the first thing. We do get a second attempt, though. 2 attempts per thing, so no, we don't make it through. Anyway, that will end our turn, and unfortunately we'll call it there. We will award XP real fast. For like 11 XP. I'm not going to count this as a... Well, it's relatively difficult. 12 XP. Let's be honest, we're fighting more people than there are us. So it's not a trivial task, you know? Anyway, next time, hopefully we'll do some more, make some actual progress, get more into doing this. Been a bit distracted recently, had some things to do, that kind of stuff. Also about time for coffee. And next time we'll try and make even more progress. Next stream, maybe more armor, and then maybe news, and then World Building Wednesday, and then this again. We might have some other special stuff coming up. And thank you all for stopping by. As usual, I've been your host, Casimir Basilius, Imperial Lord of the Empire. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.